Hello guys, it's Zainali here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Guys, today the video I have chosen to react is a very unique and interesting one. I normally don't react to these kind of videos, but I couldn't stop myself from talking about it because it was very moving and very interesting and a bit surprising for me as well because yesterday, randomly, when I went on YouTube's trending page, where you might normally find entertaining videos or music videos, I saw a video which was on loneliness, and I think it started trending #1 on YouTube within 12 hours of posting. And that was quite surprising for me that in a world full of entertainment, the video on loneliness is trending #1. For your information, I will put the link of the video in my description so that if you like to check the video, you can go on the channel and you can check it. But let's go into the video and find out why such a topic and such a video is trending #1 on YouTube.
Everybody feels lonely from time to time. When we have no one to sit next to at lunch, when we move to a new city, or when nobody has time for us at the weekend. But over the last few decades, this occasional feeling has become chronic for millions. In the UK, 60% of 18 to 34-year-olds say they often feel lonely.
18 to 34 years old, actually this is really surprising because in a world full of materialistic things, 60% is a very big figure.
In the US, 46% of the entire population feel lonely regularly. We are living in the most connected time in human history.
That's what I just
and yet, an unprecedented number of us feel isolated. Being lonely and being alone are not the same thing. You can be filled with bliss by yourself and hate every second surrounded by friends.
That is true because I've met a lot of people who go in parties regularly and they still feel very lonely like most of the time.
Loneliness is a purely subjective, individual experience.
So guys, the first 3-4 minutes of the video actually describe about the scientific and historical facts of loneliness, like how it was integrated in the human brain. Then the video comes to the downside of the modern world.
The loneliness epidemic we see today really only started in the late Renaissance. Western culture began to focus on the individual. Intellectuals moved away from the collectivism of the Middle Ages, while the young Protestant theology stressed individual responsibility. This trend accelerated during the Industrial Revolution. People left their villages and fields to enter factories. Communities that had existed for hundreds of years began to dissolve, while cities grew. As our world rapidly became modern, this trend sped up more and more. Today, we move vast distances for new jobs, love and education, and leave our social net behind. We meet fewer people in person, and we meet them less often than in the past. In the US, the mean number of close friends dropped from 3 in 1985 to 2 in 2011.
Well, this is a very true fact because more and more people are now have to travel away from their families, from their loved ones, from their childhood friends, for jobs, for any dreams they have. So that is actually very true that slowly people started to move away from living in a community kind of a circle.
You reach adulthood and become busy with work, university, romance, kids and Netflix. There's just not enough time. The most convenient and easy thing to sacrifice is time with friends.
I think that is very true because in the importance and priority thing, I think friendship is the easy one people sacrifice most of the time because in our goals, in our life, normally that's the way our brain is trained nowadays, is we go from a good education to a job, and then to get married, to have a good family. And the most easiest thing to sacrifice in all this journey is friendship. And as the video just explained, like a couple of decades ago, there were 3 to 4 friends average people used to have, and now probably it's only down to 2 or 1. So you can see that is very much a fact.
While humans feel pretty great about things like iPhones and spaceships, our bodies and minds are fundamentally the same they were 50,000 years ago.
That's true.
We are still biologically fine-tuned to being with each other.
As a matter of fact, I think just a desire to be perfect in today's world and having non-realistic goals can also sometimes push us towards some kind of addiction. And I think addiction to something can also be a reaction or repulsion of body to get something which it really wants, but it's failing to get it. So I think a lot of drift towards addiction may also be a factor of loneliness.
But that's not all. Some studies found that when you're lonely, your brain is much more receptive and alert to social signals, while at the same time, it gets worse at interpreting them correctly.
That is very true, because I've met many people who would judge or interpret things very wrong, because they will probably personally take it on themselves as if it was a personal attack or something, but the other person may not even have meant it that way. So I think as the video describes, that kind of attitude may also be a reason of loneliness.
You pay more attention to others, but you understand them less. The part of your brain that recognizes faces gets out of tune and becomes more likely to categorize neutral faces as hostile, which makes it distrustful of others. Loneliness makes you assume the worst about others' intentions towards you. Because of this perceived hostile world, you can become more self-centered to protect yourself, which can make you appear more cold, unfriendly, and socially awkward than you really are.
So from this video, I can also conclude that it's best not to judge people. I think a lot of our isolation and loneliness is also because we make assumptions in our head. Oh, he might be thinking like that, or he might be taunting us, or like, but the other person may not even have meant that. So I think this is something I've also practiced as well in the past, is that whenever a negative thought or a similar kind of thought comes into my mind, I always counter it with another thought by saying, what if he doesn't, what if he didn't mean that? So I think we can't stop our brain from thinking in a certain way. That's human nature, to be conscious, to be afraid when we exist in a society. But I think training yourself to have a neutral mindset, or countering a negative thought with a positive one, I think is a very amazing process. And I think after watching this video, when I try to look into my life and interaction of myself with my friends, a lot of things just started making sense, and I think a lot of these things now I can understand probably happens because people are lonely, and because people are lonely, as a result, as a society, it can have several impacts on the way collectively we interact with each other.
Humans have built a world that's nothing short of amazing, and yet none of the shiny things we've made is able to satisfy or substitute our fundamental biological need for connection.
Amazing.
Most animals get what they need from their physical surroundings.
The most amazing sentence of all the video, that humans have built an incredible world around them, but it still cannot compensate a very fundamental biological need of connection. And despite the fact that we are full of social media and gadgets which we can use to interact with each other, still, if such a large percentage of us still feel lonely, that was really, really surprising, which means that all this materialism collectively still not have taken away the loneliness from our heart and mind.
We get what we need from each other. And we need to build our artificial human world based on that.
We have to build our world based on that.
Let's try something together. Let's reach out to someone today. Regardless if you feel a little bit lonely or if you want to make someone else's day.
I think this video has also helped me understand different communities. I think a lot of divide in communities may be the reason of loneliness, because communities are based on individuals, and individuals, if they have that kind of mindset or that kind of energy in them, of course that particular community would be isolated or would be away from other. And that's how hate preachers or people who want to divide societies win, because they take advantage of such an attitude. So I think the message this video does give to everybody, including me, is to understand each other, and instead of interpreting or misjudging people, I think it's better to reach out and interact with people and understand that, you know, they may not be probably haters, they might just be lonely, and that loneliness is coming out as hate sometimes, and probably they are making assumptions about other people or other friends or other communities or other societies, and that ultimately is ending up in a divide in societies, cultures, or religions. So I think at the end of the day, we are all humans, and interacting with each other would put out those differences, because when we meet each other, we find out that we want the same thing. We may have different race, come from a different culture, we may eat different foods, but at the end of the day, we want same things. We want peace, we want happiness, we want togetherness. And I think this is very important, to not to make assumptions, and if those negative feelings come, we should try to neutralize them with positive thoughts, and also try to reach out to others without any expectations. I think this is an incredible video, and I hope more and more videos like that come, and it can really make us understand how to live a more better, fulfilled, happy, successful life by serving others. I feel like the aim of life is serving others, and when there's a lot of hate preachers or a lot of hatred in the society, the other side of the opinion should be there as well, and equally projected, so that people can always choose between the two. And as a human being and as an optimistic, I feel like they will always choose the positive side. So on that note, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video and found it helpful and educating. The link is in my description of the video. You can go and check that video. It's very informative. And I hope to do similar reaction videos in the future. So until the next time, see you. Take care. Bye.
What are you waiting for? Subscribe!